interesting in a sense. This time when I went to India, I had the opportunity of seeing a place which is known as Shihor. Her mother came from that village, which is not too far from Jairambati, her native place. And she had a vision that Mother Lakshmi, that means Goddess Mother Lakshmi, mythological Goddess Mother Lakshmi, came and said that I shall be born as your daughter. So that was a billow tree, and at present I saw that property, that means that billow tree is still standing. A temple, small temple has been built, and by the side of that big temple is there, and also there is a center of Sarada. That means they have acquired that area because of the importance. So in that way, there is a background story about her birth also. The way we have the background story of Swami Krishna's birth. In those days, education for girls were very rare, but she learned something at her home. But as the custom was that she was married at the age of just 6 years, that means that is unbelievable in today's standard. But that was the custom, that is why she was married to Sri Ramakrishna. And there are stories also behind how the marriage happened. That means Sri Ramakrishna was in Dakshineshwar at that time doing intense spiritual practice. His mother thought that he is just going mad, becoming a mad person. Then she brought her, and then marriage was arranged, and ultimately it happened. Sri Ramakrishna did not object to the marriage, though he was doing intense spiritual practice, and he did not really disturb the convention of his type. But again, after marriage, he went away, and Sarada, Holy Mother, at that time, remained in her village. And time to time, when Sri Ramakrishna used to visit Kamarpukur, which is a place not too far from the Jairambati, where Sri Ramakrishna was born, his native place, when he used to visit, she used to come, and again Sri Ramakrishna used to go away, and she used to go back to her village. In that way, time passed. And ultimately we see that when Sri Ramakrishna became very intense in spiritual practice, and also his health was becoming very delicate, somebody was necessary to stay with him to take care of him. Then Holy Mother actually permanently moved to Dakshineshwar Kali Temple in the northern part of Calcutta, where Sri Ramakrishna used to live, did his spiritual practice. At the beginning he was a priest, then he did intense spiritual practice, and ultimately he had to quit the priestly activities. But slowly we see that Sri Ramakrishna had great following, in a sense that means when people understood that he is a realized person, people started coming to him and started getting spiritual instruction. In that way, things started going on. In Dakshineshwar Kali Temple facility, there was no room as such for living quarter for Holy Mother Sarada Devi. So what happened, near the room of Sri Ramakrishna where he used to live, there was a Namaba, as it is called in India, the place of music tower. That tower is little big, in a sense that is diametrically little big. But there is not much space inside, but however, just to live near Sri Ramakrishna and help in his food and all those things, Holy Mother Sarada Devi started living in the first floor. That means we call there in ground floor. That means it is not exactly basement, but the same as the outside ground. So there is a little space there, a room, and there she started living, mostly to take care of Sri Ramakrishna, and that was of course mostly for food, as we can say. Sri Ramakrishna's health was delicate, so he required some special diet by today's words. So she used to prepare all those things with great care. And also, as Ramakrishna's name started spreading, many people started visiting, reputed people like Keshav Chandra Sen, and they are very well-known person, not only in Calcutta, not only in Bengal, not only in India, Even in western part of this country also, his reputation was had spread. He was such a great orator and a preacher of spirituality, Keshav Chandra Sen. And it is said that Keshav Chandra Sen was instrumental in spreading Sri Ramakrishna's name because he himself was a preacher, a reformed Hindu, you can say, follower of Brahmo religion, but at the same time he was not an ordinary preacher, just preach, and that is his profession, and not in that way. He was a seeker also. And Sri Ramakrishna also understood that. So in that way, there was a great friendship between them. Keshav Chandra Sen profited by association of Sri Ramakrishna, and Sri Ramakrishna in his turn, you cannot say exactly profited, but was very helpful in developing the spiritual qualities of Keshav Chandra Sen. And Keshav Chandra Sen, being a preacher, he understood that this benefit that I am getting should spread to humanity at large. So in that way he started spreading his message and people came to know, and that is why Sri Ramakrishna had many visitors, and Holy Mother used to have to take care of them. Care in a sense, in those days, even nowadays also it is a custom when a guest comes, naturally you have to treat them. Treat in a sense, probably a little bit snacks and such other things have to be given, because they used to stay for quite some time, spend some time in Sri Ramakrishna, and Calcutta was 7 miles away from Dakshineshwar, and Dakshineshwar was a village. Good food and all those things were not really very much accessible there. So in that way she had to cook for the devotees also. He used to visit Sri Ramakrishna. So that was her a sort of permanent duty, you can say, that she accepted while living in Dakshineshwar. So time was passing, and Sri Ramakrishna's routine was more or less that he used to live there, but he used to go to Calcutta also at the invitation of the devotees who wanted them there, and they also used to arrange his meetings with Calcutta devotees. In that way things were going on. But ultimately we see that because of his overwork in a sense, that means Sri Ramakrishna was very eager to help people who are really spiritually inclined, that means sincere. We do spirituality or practice religion in different ways. Some people go to the church once in a while, some people go maybe a little frequently, some people may be going probably a little more regularly, and some people may be into it. That means they are very serious. Serious in a sense, that means they want to get something out of practice of religion. And Sri Ramakrishna was meant for them. Sri Ramakrishna could recognize, that means, who is sincere and who is not sincere. So those who are sincere, they had the great advantage of having Sri Ramakrishna as their guide. So in that way, he had to meet many devotees time to time, and they used to come, and in that way they maintained contact. And since he preached almost incessantly, slowly his health started breaking down, and ultimately he contracted cancer, throat cancer. Preachers, because they talk and talk, their voice is sometimes sore, and ultimately they suffer from throat diseases, and in that way Sri Ramakrishna, it is said that he contracted that deadly disease, cancer. Even today it is difficult to cure that. So Sri Ramakrishna, when people understood and doctors said that it is incurable, so Holy Mother was really very much upset, but she wanted to serve him. So Sri Ramakrishna was brought to Calcutta, and from Calcutta to just outskirts of Calcutta, a place was rented called Kasipur, and there he stayed, and doctors started coming, and in that way he was treated. And Holy Mother again accompanied Sri Ramakrishna, and he used to again take care of diet and all those things. And ultimately Sri Ramakrishna passed away. And Holy Mother, naturally in those days, wives had a very hard life, being a widow. So she returned to her village, and Kamarpur also, that means in those days what is called husband's house was the wife's house. So in that way she returned there, but unfortunately she was not received well there, and ultimately, permanently, she started living in her own home, own house in Jairambati. And after Sri Ramakrishna's passing away, because of grief, she went for what is called for some relief to. He went for a pilgrimage and ultimately stayed in Vrindavan for some time. And that was a great relief for her, and she had intense spiritual practices, and those who were with her at that time had recorded how high spiritual experiences and all those things she used to have at that time. And that actually took away means that assuaged her grief of bereavement. So in that way, she was really very much relieved, and then came back because there was nothing to do in our family, because they did not have children, because by their own consent they did spiritual practices, and Sri Ramakrishna told her that after my passing away, he told that my body is so frail that I shall not live long. You have to live long. In that way, he told Holy Mother that you have to take care of the devotees, and also those will come to seek God, you have to guide them. So that part actually she started doing after return from the pilgrimage. And in that way, she divided her time between Calcutta and Jairambati, her native place Jairambati, and Calcutta where she lived, and also devotees were there. And she had some of the direct disciples, two of them especially. One was Swami Yogananda, who started taking care of Holy Mother, because later village lady, and also at the same time venerated spiritual person, so she needed somebody to be by her side, or as a guardian you can say, needed to be looked after. So Swami Yogananda was very dear to Sri Ramakrishna as well as Holy Mother, started taking care of her. And ultimately he also passed away. Then Swami Sarada, another disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, started taking care, and he was actually a very stalwart, that means a strong person who actually took care of Holy Mother Sarada till her passing away. So Swami Sarada saw that devotees are increasing, so naturally she needed some facility to stay in Calcutta, built a house for her known as Udbodhan, and popularly known as Mayer Badi. Mayer means mother's house. In Calcutta it is called Mayer Badi. So there he built a house for her, and at the same time Jairambati, he built some cottages and improved the facility where she used to live. And in that way, she started coming to Calcutta and going back to Jairambati. In that way, she continued till her death. And the main, she never took monastic vows. Sri Ramakrishna himself took monastic vows, though outwardly did not appear like that. But she never formally, she never took monastic vows, but lived like a just householder. But mentally, actually, she was completely spiritually dedicated. So from outside, people could not understand that she actually is a spiritual person. She used to do all the chores in a sense, that means from the early morning, all the cooking and cleaning the house and taking care of the. She had some brothers also who were neighbors, and also many visitors used to come, as I told you, for spiritual instructions. Just like her own son, she used to take care of them. So in that way, actually, she spent her time in Jairambati, and when she came to Calcutta, she used to spend her time. But at the same time, she used to do intense spiritual practice. Her spiritual practice used to be like this. That means when she was young, she had initiation from a monk of some denomination, Purnananda. His name was Purnananda, and he had given some mantram, and she used to practice that. And afterwards, when she came to Dakshineshwar, Sri Ramakrishna also gave her instructions, which she followed. And even when she was in Dakshineshwar, when Sri Ramakrishna was alive, she used to do intense spiritual practice. Intense spiritual practice means she used to get up early morning, maybe 3 or 4 a.m. He used to take bath in the Ganges. Dakshineshwar is by the side of the Ganges, and Ganges water was very pure at that time. She used to take bath and sit for meditation and repetition of the holy name. So in that way, that practice actually she continued throughout her life. And additionally, after the passing away of Sri Ramakrishna, she started doing worship of Sri Ramakrishna every day in the morning. And paraphernalia, the way we do here, in the morning we do some ritualistic worship. That was her chore that she used to continue till her death. That means even just before her death, actually she transferred that duty to somebody else. Otherwise, she always did that. So in that morning, then actually she used to prepare, go to the kitchen, prepare food. Of course, slowly, many women devotees came. They also started helping her, and she used to feed devotees and others, and then she used to take food, take a little rest. Then again, the devotees used to come. Sometimes, in those days, since she was not that literate enough to write letters, so in the afternoon, the letters, distant devotees who used to seek advice or used to inquire about her, used to send letters, and she had some assistants who used to read those letters, and she used to dictate, and in that way her letter used to be sent. That was her, what is called office work, if you can say in our today's language, that she used to do in the afternoon. Again, in the evening there was worship and other services, and ultimately she used to retire late at night. But during this time, actually, as I told you, she used to do her own spiritual practices. She did not require that. That means because of her proximity of Sri Ramakrishna, because of Sri Ramakrishna's blessings, if you call it, or because of Sri Ramakrishna's transfer of spiritual power, if you call it, Sri Ramakrishna actually literally worshipped her as a divine mother, Shorasha Puja, on one occasion. So at that time he told that I am giving you all my fruits of spiritual practices, I am transferring these things to you. So in that way she was rich in spirituality, that was evident. But at the same time, she never discontinued her own spiritual practices till her death. So in this way, time passed, and ultimately she herself became ill. Time to time, she used to encounter illness, in a sense. In those days, health condition was not very good, so malaria and such other disease, dysentery and such other diseases used to be there. And once she had very acute dysentery, and somehow she escaped that, or got cured by some, what is called miraculous way. But ultimately, towards the end of her life, we see that she fell ill. And at the beginning, people thought, or doctors thought, that it was malaria. Malaria, that it was eradicated. The present condition is such that it was eradicated, but again it came back. Now again, we have to be careful about malaria, which is mostly done by mosquito, which comes through mosquito bites. And where hygienic, the condition of hygiene is not good, it is very prevalent. So whatever it may be, so they thought that it is malaria, but ultimately it turned out that it is a disease called Kala Azar. If it is translated, literally it is like black fever. That means this is very intense type of suffering. So naturally there is no cure in the village. So Swami Sarada, who used to take care of Holy Mother Sarada Devi, brought her in Udbodhan, that means in Calcutta, and all the possible treatments were done, but ultimately she succumbed to that disease. And she passed away. And by that time, Swami Vivekananda has become quite well known. That means he came to this country, then went back to India, and then purchased lands and all those things, and Belur property was purchased. And during his time, Holy Mother had the opportunity of visiting that place also, stay for some time near that property, and all those things happened. So the property of the Belur was there. So when she passed away, her body was brought to Belur. And on the bank of the Ganges, near those who have seen the picture of Belur, you'll see there is a plot of land where her body was cremated. And on the place of cremation, actually, a small temple was built, Holy Mother's Temple. And that is the permanent place where she is worshipped. Of course, she is worshipped in many places, but after her death, actually, she started to be worshipped in that place. So in that way, we see that her life was simple, at the same time it was very spiritual, and at the same time, throughout her life, after the passing of Sri Ramakrishna, because of her spiritual administration, many people actually got great spiritual benefit. And she had to counsel spiritual counseling to many people. And she had her own disciples. It is said that she had about 1,200 disciples. Disciples in a sense, that means she took the responsibility of spiritual life of those people. In a sense, there is a system called initiation. Initiation means that the teacher who gives spiritual instruction, there are some formalities which is done, and she gives some holy name to for repetition, and also how to practice and do meditation. All those teachings are imparted. So in that way, she imparted to this type of spiritual instructions to about 1,200 persons. Amongst them are different types of person. Different types in a sense, that means maybe rich of the richest, that type of person, and of the poorest. And virtuous, maybe what is called virtuous among the virtuous people, and also the what is called pauper and spiritually pauper persons were also there. You can say that got the benefit of her spiritual instruction. It is said that she herself has said that if somebody approaches me as mother and asks for something, I cannot resist that. So naturally, people, those who are knowledgeable, are spiritually inclined, so they will ask for spiritual knowledge. So all sorts of people took the advantage of that motherhood, and in that way they got the benefit of great spirituality. And also another thing is that householders are there. That means everybody cannot really renounce forever the family life and go for intense spiritual practices. But amongst her disciples, about 200, probably 180 persons actually became monastics. So it is a great achievement, you can say. Mothers usually do not like the children to renounce householders' life. Nobody will say that, well, you go and bake food and do spiritual practice. But we see that because of her influence, so many people actually was inspired. That means they were inspired to take intense spiritual life from her. And in this way, she was a stalwart in spirituality, though apparently she looked just an ordinary person. Ordinary means ordinary amongst ordinary persons. That means she was the most ordinary person. Just by seeing her, nobody will be able to figure out that she was a spiritual person. Sri Ramakrishna has some outward symptoms. That means it is said that Sri Ramakrishna used to live in the high realm of spirituality. We call it samadhi. That means the technical term samadhi. So his mind's residence, if you call it, was that state. That means most of the time he used to live in that state. People around him actually had to bring down his mind in the ordinary plane. That means in the plane of what is happening around. So that was his outward appearance or inward appearance, definitely inward situation, and also it affected his outward appearance also, appearance in a sense, behavior also. But in Holy Mother's case, actually nobody could figure out that she had that high spiritual experience and she was a spiritual person. She was just an ordinary lady. And not only that, she used to make joke also sometimes. That means amongst her devotees, they used to be very personality, great, very beautiful and very, what is called, appearance, very, what is called, personality. That means very strong, ladies who had great, strong personality used to be her companions also. So naturally, when unknown people, those who are being introduced, they heard the name of Holy Mother Sarada and came to meet her or pay respect. If they sat around, actually they couldn't figure out who is the Holy Mother and who is not Holy Mother. So they used to first pay respect to that strong, stout ladies who actually stay with her, thinking that they are she is the Holy Mother. So in that way she used to make fun also. Now the point is that for us, we are distant people, distant from the point of view of time and definitely from spirituality also. So who are the nearest people? Those who are physically near and at the same time spiritually near to her, and who else will be like that? I think the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, after Sri Ramakrishna, will be the nearest person from the point of spirituality, whom we can say that what they have understood of Holy Mother Sarada Devi is very important for us. We have heard, we have read, we are definitely interested or impressed, and also we like to follow what she has said. All those things are okay. That should be done. But those who had lived with her, seen her, got her influence, and also had physically talked to her, and also had the opportunity of seeing her every day, doing something for her. So their impression will be the best impression, I think, that we can have about her spirituality. So unfortunately, the point is this, that the direct disciples, I consider, say, Swami Vivekananda, Swami Brahmananda, Swami Shivananda, and especially Swami Sarada, Swami Yogananda, they had the great opportunity of living with her. That means not only seeing, but living with her also. So what they thought about Holy Mother Sarada Devi will be the most, what may be said, nearest estimation of her that we can really figure out, that which we can really think of. So unfortunately, many of them have admitted they did not understand Holy Mother Sarada Devi. That they admitted, out of probably humility. Out of humility, in a sense that means Sri Ramakrishna outwardly, as I told you, could be figured out, that means was unnatural. And unnatural means, if it is unnatural, you can figure out why he is unnatural. Then actually you can figure out, well, yes, these are the things that in the scriptures we have read. So these are we are seeing in the Sri Ramakrishna's personality when he is in spiritual mood or something. But in Holy Mother's case, it was very difficult to figure out her spiritual depth and all those things. Only by result, that means those who were affected or those who came to her, by seeing their lives, those who actually got the benefit of her spirituality, they could tell about her spiritual depth. So let me see. I have a little bit collection of observations by the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, who had the opportunity of living or knowing Holy Mother Sarada Devi, and I am saying from the point of the monastic disciples. So Swami Brahmananda, as you know, Sri Ramakrishna's spiritual child, as it is called, that means he was so spiritually great that Sri Ramakrishna used to consider him as a spiritual son. So he also had the opportunity of knowing him, near him. So in that way he has said, who can understand our mother? Even great yogis cannot understand her. What to speak of others? Is it the function of an ordinary being to have digested the worship of an incarnation like Sri Ramakrishna? This is what is called referring to the worship of Sri Ramakrishna, of Holy Mother, as a Shodoshi Puja, as it is called. That means as a Divine Mother's manifestation. It happened in Dakshineshwar Kali temple. I just referred a little bit about that. It happened in this way. That means Sri Ramakrishna had completed his spiritual practices. So naturally, Holy Mother came to serve him. And Sri Ramakrishna asked him that, you see, I am your husband and you are my wife. So definitely you can ask me to live like a husband and wife. So that is perfectly all right. But you see, I am a spiritual person, so do you think that would you like me to live like that as a husband and wife? But Holy Mother actually said, no, I want to be a spiritual person. So in that way, actually, she gave up all the, what is called, claim that a woman can have to her husband. So in that way, because of her magnanimity, Sri Ramakrishna worshipped her as a divine mother. So literally, that means we do worship in the picture, we do worship in the images. So in that way actually, he worshipped, and that's Shoroshi Puja. That means Sri Ramakrishna saw in her the divinity, and actually he respected in that way. That is the reference. So Swami Brahman is saying, is it the function of an ordinary being to have digested the worship of an incarnation like Sri Ramakrishna? That means Holy Mother actually, if you consider an ordinary person, incarnation of God is worshipping her. So an ordinary person, how an ordinary person will accept or worship, what is called digest that type of worship from an incarnation? So because of her spirituality or because of her own greatness actually, she could really bear that type of honor, or if you call it the worship, in that is being referred here. So that is also, Swami Vivekananda also has said that had he been an ordinary woman, how she could digest all this honor that has been given to her husband, that means Ramakrishna. By that time, ordinary person or ordinary woman will be puffed up. That means husband's honor is her honor. In that way, actually, she will be a puffed up person. But Holy Mother Sarada will never actually expressed in her demeanor. Actually, nobody could figure out that she was a divine consort of Sri Ramakrishna. That is the greatness, digesting of this great honor. From this one has to understand what a great container of power the mother is. We have been seeing this with our own eyes every day. The mother has been taking the sins and afflictions of many people on herself and redeeming them. Could anyone else but the Divine Mother herself have this power? So again, as I told you, that means whoever approached her as mother and wanted something, naturally she is a spiritual person, spiritual instruction and all those things. She never looked after the background, all those things. The comparison is like this: Ramakrishna was very choosy. Choosy in a sense that means she could figure out that this person probably was an, as it is called, Ishwar Koti. That type of she could figure out. Ishwar Koti means, that means they always come with an incarnation of God only. So then actually he took that person as a disciple, so naturally that was perfectly alright. But in case of Holy Mother Sarada, she never applied that type of discrimination or taste or whatever it may be. Anybody approaching her asking for spiritual instruction got that. So that is why Swami Brahman is referring that the mother has been taking the sins and afflictions of many people on herself and redeeming them. That means that greatness of taking the sins. That means if somebody takes the spiritual, becomes a disciple, it is said according to the scripture, that means all the work, all the effect of the work that person has done will come to the teacher. So that is a belief. So pointing to that, he is saying this. Could anyone else but the Divine Mother herself have this power? Divine Mother means D and Mother in capital. That means she herself is an incarnation of Divine Mother, that he is saying. Now Swami Shivananda, he was also a direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, second president of our order. And he is saying, only Sri Ramakrishna knew what the mother was. That means because of her spiritual attainment or spiritual, he was an avatar, so he could figure out the true nature, who was really Holy Mother was. And Swamiji understood her to a certain extent. That means not 100%, but a certain extent. That means to some extent. That means to understand Holy Mother, it was so difficult. Swamiji, the Holy Mother is greater than Sri Ramakrishna. Such was his great regard for the Mother, Sri Ramakrishna once said. That means Swami Vivekananda has said that Holy Mother was greater than Sri Ramakrishna in one place, he has said, because it was his own feeling. Sri Ramakrishna, as I told you, outward symptoms were there, but he used to give teachings and all those things, but Holy Mother was not like that. Now, Sri Ramakrishna once said, quote, if the one who is residing at Mahabod, that means meaning the Holy Mother in that place, living in that place, is crossed with one for some reason, it is beyond even my power to save him. That means he actually respected Holy Mother so much and knew the spiritual power of Holy Mother that if somebody does something wrong to her and she becomes angry, even Sri Ramakrishna would not be able to do something. Mother, she was the mother of all. Unbounded were her compassion and forgiveness, and wondrous her fortitude. Even our, meaning the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, understanding of the mother is so meager, but she had graciously made us understand this, that she is the divine mother herself. That means that type of spiritual experience all the direct disciples had. They could figure out that she herself was nothing but divine mother. Divine mother in a sense, that means we have our own conceptions, in the scriptures we read all those things, but physically, practically, it is very difficult to comprehend that. But by seeing her, by experiencing her presence, by seeing her work and all those things, actually, nothing can be greater than what she has said and what they have read in the books. So they themselves understood that she is an embodiment of the Divine Mother. That means D in M in capital. In our scriptures, Mother, Divine Mother is conceived of the power of God. One cannot understand her real nature unless she graciously makes one understand. So this is the inference of Swami Shivananda. Then Swami Prapannananda was also a disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, and he is also considered to be Ishwar as it is called. That means highest of the highest high spiritual personality, group of spiritual personalities. Who has understood the Holy Mother? Who can understand her? You have heard about Sita, Savitri, Vishnupriya and Radharani. These are the great spiritual personalities in our books, Mahabharata or Ramayana and as such other places, Bhagavatam. The Holy Mother occupies a far higher place. Not even the slightest trace of divine powers was noticeable in her. That as I am telling, that means outwardly it was very difficult to figure out, because sometimes the spiritual personalities, incarnations of God in the life of Jesus Christ, you see, probably he is healing something, saying something happening, and all those things, magical things are there, but which is beyond our comprehension, and in that way we can infer that yes, this person has great spiritual power. But in case of Holy Mother, there is nothing like that. So outwardly, how ordinary people will understand? Sri Ramakrishna, however, had the Vidya powers. Many were the occasions when we witness his trances and ecstasies. But in the Holy Mother, even the Vidya power were concealed. What a supreme power that! Victory unto Mother, victory unto Mother, victory unto the powerful Mother. In that way, actually, he is exalting Holy Mother Sarada Devi. The exalted Empress has of her own accord appeared as the indigent woman, ordinary woman, doing all the chores. She sweeps floors, scours vessels, husks paddy, and even removes the living of devotees after food. Almost janitorial work, if you can call it in our today's parlance. She has been undergone great hardship at Jairambati in order to teach the householders their duties. Infinite patience, unbounded mercy, and above all, the negation of even the slightest trace of egoism. She never took pride of anything. Pride of, say, Sri Ramakrishna's wife, if you call, say, or her own spiritual attainment, you can say. So many devotees, she has disciples and all those things. Nothing actually touched her. So in this way we see that there are occasions when Sri direct disciples actually looked after her. Now I shall quote from Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda, as you know, he was in this country at that time. He had an idea to start what is called a monastery with Holy Mother as head. Because at that time women's condition was very poor in this country, in India. It was like this, that means they did not have education, they are subjugated, and all those difficulties were there. So he wanted women power to come forth first. So he thought a plan that he will start a monastery for women first, as Holy Mother as head. She will give instructions, she will be the ideal, and she will administer everything in that way. He was thinking. And not only that, he asked his brother disciples to find a piece of land to start that monastery. And in that way, he wrote letters to Varanagar. That means where the direct disciples used to live at that time when he was visiting West. And this happened, and again when he came back, that actually appeared in his mind again. That means by that time he has not purchased this land for Velur, but he had started thinking that, well, I have to start something for women first. And that actually he expressed when he was visiting a place called Almora. Almora is a place where he went. He fell sick after coming to this country because of excessive work. Excessive work in a sense, that means after coming to this country, when he became very famous, and people wanted to listen to him, hear him. And in those days, and he came to the southern part of India and traveled throughout the length and breadth of India. And in those days, just for addressing this 100 people, you need microphone and all those things. But he used to address thousands of people. And in those days, there was nothing, this type of gadgets were not there. So all the power, with all his physical power and also spiritual power, of course, were there. He had to address them. That actually broke down his health. So he was advised the doctors to go for a rest in Almora. There, one of the direct disciples, his name was Swami Yogananda, was there. So he expressed to him that this is my idea, I have hit upon a plan. First, you have to start a monastery, convent, if you call it, for women. And after listening to Swamiji's words, Swami Yogananda actually expressed something which is very important, and that actually changed his ideas. So he says, after listening to all that he told me of his plan for starting a women's mott, I suggested to him, quote, do whatever you think will be conducive to the good of society at large, but please do not bring mother into public prominence now. Don't you remember the master telling us that his body would not survive if he preached him before the public? So the reason was this, that means if you make public, Swami Yogananda said, actually she will not live long. That was the apprehension. The same may be said in respect of the mother too. I do not allow all and sundry to meet the mother or touch her feet while offering their salutations. I see that only sincere devotees of pure character have her darshan. Therefore, I humbly request you, brother, not to disturb the mother at present. You may start the women's mott with the help and cooperation of women devotees of spotless character and spiritual realization, also possessing learning and skill in various branches of knowledge and work, who are capable of taking charge of this organization without any direct association with men as such, not to speak of our sadhus. So alternatively, you can make a convent for women by themselves. As soon as they finish, that means this Swami Yogananda is saying that when he argued with Swami Vivekananda this way, he is saying, as soon as I finished saying this, Swami heartily thanked me and smilingly said, Mantri. Mantri means counselor. You have given me a sound piece of advice and aptly reminded me of the Master's word in this respect. I shall not disturb mother. Let her fulfill her mission according to her own will and in the manner she chooses. Who are we to dictate to her? Rather, we can accomplish everything with her blessings. I have personally seen and felt the power of her blessings, which can do miracles. So that was that changed from his mind. So Swamiji will not disturb mother by pursuing his plan to place her as the head of the proposed mutt for the new order of women sannyasis. So that was a situation which actually changed the mind of Swami Vivekananda, and at that, when Holy Mother Sarada Devi was alive, the women's mutt, that means monastic organization, did not come. It actually came after, on the occasion of Holy Mother's birth centenary in the year of 1953-54. At that time, the what is called the mutt was established, and it is still flourishing. There is no doubt about that. It is a parallel organization, completely independent and run by women. That is the principle on which actually it is running. Now I shall conclude my talk, and after the talk I shall show you a few places associated with Holy Mother, so that you can have a comprehensive idea of the places which are associated with her. The last homage, if you call it, that we see that has been given, that is interesting, is the observation by Swami Ramakrishnananda. Swami Ramakrishnananda was a direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, and he was sent to southern part of India in Madras, which is known as Chennai now, for the preaching purposes, because people of that area actually what is called encouraged Swami Vivekananda to come to this country. They understood his value or worth or his capacity. So they actually sponsored him, you can say, in one way. And naturally, when he returned, they requested him to make some permanent arrangement for his teachings, that means teaching of Vedanta and teaching, spreading the message of Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother. So he lived there when Swami Vivekananda sent him. And because the message started spreading, there is another place called Bangalore, which you, and some of you must be knowing by this time, which is the IT hub of India at present, like what is called San Jose is the place where it is called IT capital of this country, so it is also IT capital of India at present. But in those days it was a very beautiful place, bracing climate, it is a very nice altitude, and a piece of land was available, so a new monastery was started, and Holy Mother, on the occasion of pilgrimage, actually lived there for some time. So at that time, it is said, an incident took place. This incident took place in Bangalore. Swami Ramakrishnananda, from his observations and saying, the incident took place in Bangalore during Holy Mother's pilgrimage in South India. The mother was staying in the Bangalore ashrama. There is a small hillock behind the ashrama building, and within its compound, a short while before dusk, the mother climbed the hillock, along with one or two others, and sat on its top, enjoying the beauty of the setting sun. You can imagine beautiful a hillock, and the sun is setting on the west side, and it was very greenery. That place is very well known for sceneries. So she sat for meditation. When this news reached Swami Ramakrishnananda, he was immediately transported to a new region and said in amazement. That means when he heard that mother is sitting and gazing towards the west, and that news came to him, actually he was very much what is called enchanted. So Swami Ramakrishna exclaimed, indeed, mother has become a dweller on the mountain. Parvat Vasini, as it is called, it is Mother Durga's epithet. That means she is the daughter of Mother Himalayas, daughter of the Father Himalayas. So in that way, she is called Parvat Vasini, which is the name of Divine Mother dwelling on the Himalayas or in the hills. So he hurried, that means Ramakrishna hurried towards the place. He was stout and began to pant as he climbed even that low hillock. But regardless of that, he went up straight to the mother, prostrated there, and laying his head on her feet, chanted the three well-known verses from the Chandi. Chandi, you know, that is all the Divine Mother's worship that we do, the source is that book. That means the description of Divine Mother, adoration of Divine Mother, all those things come from that book. That is a book which is associated with the motherhood of God. So from the Chandi, which are used as mantras for the salutation of the Divine Mother. So the verses were these: O auspicious one, thou art the source of all auspiciousness. Thou art the accomplisher of all cherished desires. So that means all those verses actually, he started chanting in front of Divine Mother, in front of Holy Mother. Thou art the giver of refuge. Thou possessest the eye of wisdom and beautiful form. O thou power divine, salutations to thee. O eternal one, thou art the energy of creation, maintenance and destruction. Thou art the abode of all qualities and yet beyond them. O thou power divine, salutations to thee. O Mother, thou art savest, thou ever savest those in poverty and pain who take refuge in thee. Thou art the remover of misery of all. Thou power divine, salutations to thee. So in that way, he adored Holy Mother Sarada Devi. And it is said that she was in trance at that time, that is in great spiritual mood. So these are the point is this, that means Holy Mother during her lifetime has been adored, those who knew her, and definitely those who got the benefit of her association with her. We are at a distance, but still Holy Mother is the greatest refuge one can have, or she is the person to whom anybody can take refuge at any time, under any circumstances, and there is no doubt about that. So I would like to show you a few places associated with her. This is the Holy Mother's picture, which is worshipped in Belur Math, that you see on the screen. This is the place, and this is the place where she was born in Jairam, but it is kept in a very tip-top condition, but during her time it was not that good. But now, because it is a place of pilgrimage, it is kept in that way. Now this is the place where it is also in Jairam. This is a temple which was constructed by Swami Sarada after her passing away, and there is an image also inside that of Holy Mother. And this is the general view of that property. That means the village scene, you can see where she actually lived. And this is the statue which is worshipped in that temple, Holy Mother's image. And she is decorated, that means beautifully decorated. Hundreds of people go there every day. Now communication has become very easy, so many people go there. And as you know, Holy Mother liked, it is a custom of Indian motherhood to feed children. So even now, that tradition is kept. That means anybody going there is entertained with food and all those things. So they have huge kitchen and arrangements, big dining hall. Probably 1,000 people or 2,000 people will be able to take food together. And this is a picture of Holy Mother during her time at her home. That means you see on the back side there are bags of food grain. So she was sitting, so somebody wanted to picture, and this is a very beautiful picture in a spiritual mood. This is also a picture which is very adored. That means she is looking at the people, the devotees taking food, or in that way. It is a posture which is very common in India for old ladies. That means they take what is called relaxing posture, you can say. And this is actually Dakshineswar Kali temple where she came, and Sri Ramakrishna actually was a priest and did spiritual practices, and ultimately Holy Mother also came there on the back. The water in front is the Ganges where she used to take bath every day. And this is the place where she used to live, on the first floor. That means where you see the people are standing, that is the place. Inside there is a room where actually she lived. And on the top actually is what is called the music used to play. Sanhai and such other musical instrument during the services of the temple, the arrangements were there. And this is the At present, a statue has been installed there in that room where Holy Mother lived. And this is the place of Udbodhan, where Holy Mother used to live. That means you see the cot on which the bigger picture is there. So she used that cot for her bed. And also you can see at a distance towards the wall, the picture of Sri Ramakrishna is there, which she worshipped every day. It is still being done. That means every day worship is done in that room. This is a picture of Holy Mother in Calcutta, and this is of course a painting of Holy Mother which is very popular. And this is the place, this is the temple of Holy Mother on the place where she was cremated. After her passing away, as I told you, that her body was brought across the river Ganges in the Belur premises, and arrangements for cremation was done, and the body was cremated. And it is said after the cremation there was a torrential rain, which is very uncommon during that season, but it was there, and everything was over, and later on this temple was constructed in that place. This is another view of that temple, and in that temple, Holy Mother's, it is a shrine, so Holy Mother's picture is, this is the Holy Mother's picture, and these are all decorations that are being done. This is all with flowers and all those things. Probably during her birthday, it is being done in this way or in a different way, but lavishly it is decorated. So these are the pictures associated with her life, and as I told you, Holy Mother is very popular. Not only popular, they deserve popularity, and also the best thing is that she is accessible. In any way, actually, she is accessible, and her teachings are very practical. She lived and knew the life of a householder, how it is difficult, but at the same time, actually, she showed us the way to earn spirituality, to become spiritual.